Come on down. The price is right. Cast and Blast podcast. Take one. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Cast and Blast podcast. I'm Feature Ben.
And I'm Nasty Jim.
And together, we're part of the Cast and Blast crew. Today, we're doing a simple, but
Is it simple?
but it can be very complicated.
simple?
We're going to break down the top 3 questions you need to be asking yourself before any hunting season.
All right, so the top 3 are going to be, ask yourself, are you going to like, are you going to subscribe, and are you going to comment? That's the 3 questions. All right, it's
Have
been a
you
good
liked,
podcast.
have you commented, or have you subscribed?
Yep.
Those are the top 3 questions.
All
Now,
right, we're signing off.
all right, we're done. We're done with that. Listen, man, we're gonna break down 3 basic questions you should be asking yourself before every hunting season. You could say, "Well, what are you guys gonna talk about? What questions are these, guys?"
Their common sense is what they are.
We're gonna break it down Barney style for
Simple.
you, but we're gonna show you why these questions are so important. So the 3 questions are: where am I hunting?
Bum, bum,
What am I hunting?
bum, 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 bum.
And what gear do I need?
It's that easy, really. It's that easy, right?
Now you think
That's it.
that's pretty simple.
That's common
That's
sense.
all you got. Well, that's it, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. You guys have,
That's all we got.
guys, it gets a little bit deeper than that. We're going to break down these 3 questions, and we're going to talk about why those questions are so important.
And how they can help you have a more successful, maybe a better,
Maybe fun.
a fun season, like more fun throughout the season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Less stress. Hunting can be stressful. Let's not lie.
Planning for it is stressful.
But it's fun at the same time.
But if you ask yourself these questions, maybe it can kind of take some of the stress out.
Now you think. I like it.
So the first question is, where am I hunting? I'm going to break these down, and we're going to dive deeper in it. But, what do I mean by where am I hunting?
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to find a lease?
Probably.
Am I hunting private?
I don't know.
Am I hunting public?
Maybe.
Do I need to start knocking on neighbors' doors and ask them if I can hunt their back 40?
Well, you should have done that 2 months ago.
Do I want to take all the work out, take all the hard work, and just kind of say, hey, I don't want to do none of the prep. I don't want to do none of the hard work. I just want to pay somebody to put me on a hunt. Get one of them high fence hunts with a cabin with white linens and 4-course meals, and
It's like a vacation hunt. A lot of people do it. Nothing wrong with it. It's great.
it kind of
If you can do
sounds
it.
good if you're asking me.
So the cool thing about that is if you do that, you don't really need to ask yourself many more of these questions.
No,
It's
but-
taken care of.
But all these questions will inform the work,
Yes.
the time, the investments.
it will help you make that decision whether or not you want to do that or not.
Yeah. Whether it's, special permits, licenses, do I have to set up my lease payment? Do I have to, do
So when
some
you say
scouting?
special permits on when you're talking about where you're hunting, what do you mean? Special permits? I don't just need a hunting license.
That's why you got to ask yourself, where am I hunting? If I'm hunting in a different state, I don't know the regulations in that state. I got to do my research.
Yeah.
If I'm hunting at my buddy's, back 40,
Your buddy's cousin's pasture.
yeah, I'm hunting at my buddy's
Yeah.
property. I might not need to know all these regulations. There might be some basic things I need to have with me and all that stuff. But if I'm going on a paid hunt and they're going to set me in a blind and, they're going to take care of everything, I could just ask them some questions. you
Yeah. I
know?
also need to know, where are you going to go for yourself? Are you physically able to take on the terrain that you're going to be hunting in?
Yeah. I mean, you got to know your limitations. You got to know, what are my boundaries, you know?
You could be hunting in the swamps of Louisiana. You're going to need a lot of water and maybe a lot of friends with it's dangerous down there. Or you could be up in the Rockies and you're carrying oxygen and your chiropractor with you. We don't know. So that's why it's important.
The important thing is ask yourself that first. Where am I hunting? Again, if you don't have some land secured, and not everyone has private access to private land,
Yep.
you might have to hunt public. If you're hunting public, check the regulations for that area and see what you need. The question is once you lock that down, you can kind of go into the next question, Jimmy.
Which the next question is, you can probably guess it, right? Come on. If you're asking where are you hunting, yes, it's obvious. You're right. You got it right. It's what am I hunting? So that sounds like another very common sense. Like, why would I ask myself that? Well, you need to ask yourself what you're hunting because you need to become familiar with that animal. There's a lot of different reasons, and I got some notes. We'll go through it. But what am I hunting? Some animals you got to have you always got to have a license. You got to have a hunting license, but you may need a special permit. Maybe you're waterfowl hunting. You got to have the migratory bird and the duck stamp and everything. So.
Keep a quarter in your back left pocket.
That's
and all
it
that
right
stuff.
there.
There's all kinds of regulations.
You got to hold your tongue to the left when you shoot with your right finger with your left foot out or something. It's crazy. The habitat of the environment that the animal lives in. So once again, become familiar with that animal, But yeah, so there's all these different reasons, and we're going to dive deeper into each one of those as we go through. Or do we want to take that deep dive now?
I think we'll come back. We'll circle back. But I tell you what, so you've asked yourself, where am I hunting? What am I hunting? And that kind of will inform
of the third.
What gear do I need? If you can ask yourself those 3 simple questions, you see how simple it is, but that kind of prepares you. What gear I need is dependent on where I'm hunting.
Or what I'm hunting.
So you have to go, where am I hunting? What am I hunting? What gear I need? Now let's dive deep.
Now the snowball starts.
Absolutely. We talked about it. Am I hunting? Do I need to find the lease? Then that has to be, there's some investments that need to be made.
Yeah.
I need to start negotiating some prices with some landowners. I need to start reaching out and say, hey, what leases are available?
And leases are getting harder and harder to come by.
They absolutely are. And then there's stipulations within those leases. Do you want to do it with, a large group? Do you want to have a lease by yourself?
What size?
That's gonna kind of swing whether, it's within your budget or whether it's outside of your budget. Budget is going to be the number one.
That's the
driving
dominator
thing.
in all this is budget.
Every hunter, every angler has a budget. That's going to be basically your restraints, right? You got to stay within those restraints. Am I hunting private? Well, if I'm hunting private, we already know that there's some additional regulations for hunting. I'm sorry.
Public.
I keep stepping all over private and public. Am I hunting private? If I'm hunting private, I'm going to go to someone's land that invited me to hunt on that property. They've given me permission. They're either going to join me or they're going to say, hey, man, you can hunt this property.
Yeah, you do you.
You do you. I'm just going to see what the regulations are in that state, if I have access to it, and I'm just going to get out there and I'm going to do it. But I'm going to ask those same questions because it's going to keep me out of trouble. What do I mean by that? I'm hunting private. It's got, a place is, 1,500 acres. It's got 10 blinds on it with 15 feeders. I'm just making up numbers, right?
I don't know. They sound kind of
pretty specific.
Yeah, they sound pretty specific.
So this is a place that I can go hunt. It's private land. Do I have to have my own tags? Do they have tags? Is it MLD? All those things.
All that comes into play.
So if I'm hunting public, there's additional permits, additional regulations. I might have to wear orange. I might have to, like you said, I might have to hold my right hand up and shoot with my left. There's a whole bunch of different regulations you got to knock out before you go and travel from point A to point B.
Well, there's some of those reasons you want to do too. If you're hunting public and you're traveling, there's not a whole lot of public land in Texas, so most people have to travel for that public land. So there's something you should probably do before you take off on your first journey to that public, and that's e-scouting, in my opinion. You want to get on there and look at where to save time and boots on the ground scouting, e-scout, get on there and either cross out land and property you don't want to hunt in and look for those, high traffic areas, transition areas. Look for the X. And if you're watching this, you'd probably know what I'm talking about. Look for the X, good places to hunt. But just have that plan B because you're not the only one that found that X on public, on that public piece of land. So always have a plan B, C, and D too.
Yeah, because you could get out there and first light – you turn around and there's orange vests in the circle.
Everywhere. You can get out there and the orange army will take over. It's happened a million times.
So, where I'm hunting and what I'm hunting. These are simple questions, but as you can see, they get deep, and each one of these questions kind of snowballs into a whole bunch of more information. You need to be doing your research. You need to be doing your.
And they're going to kind of drive each other too, just like where am I hunting? Well, am I hunting in the Pacific Northwest where it's basically a rainforest? I think it probably is. Yeah, you're going to need rain gear.
You're going to need layers. You're going to need dry socks. You're going to have all that stuff with you.
So these will drive each other.
Yeah, and we wanted to keep it simple, but keeping it simple almost makes it more difficult. Or it makes it more complicated.
What it is when you ask yourself those 3 basic questions: where am I hunting, what am I hunting, and what gear am I going to need? You're like, oh yeah, I got this. Until you sit down, you start thinking about it, and you start planning out the details. And planning out the details really matters when it comes to hunting for a successful hunt. You start planning those details, and you're like, this snowball's growing, it's getting big.
And we talk about these things because we're doing these things. We're asking ourselves these questions.
That's what drove this podcast. Ben and I, we're preparing for hunting season. There's things that we're doing, and we're having these snowballing conversations, and we're like, damn, we should do this in front of the camera. So
that's really what's happening, So we've talked about where am I hunting, what am I hunting, and that kind of feeds into what gear do I need? Well, what gear do I need? I need to reference those first 2 questions.
Yeah.
Right? Where am I hunting? Am I hunting in, an area where it's covered in snow? And am I wearing, dark green camo, spring colored camo out in the middle of the snow? Maybe I am.
My waterfowl hunting, I'm going to be in the water. And am I shooting rats out of the hay barn with the 22?
Exactly. I mean? So it all informs the next question. What gear do I need? Well, do I want to bring, something to pack out? Hunting an area where I got to hump in, hump out, right? Well, how am I going to quarter that animal? How am I going to harvest it? How am I going to haul it out? You got to plan that ahead of time. And you might want to start planning, is this something I can handle by myself?
Yeah.
Do I need to take a buddy? Do we need to both plan this out and kind of split pack and say, hey, we're going to be out there a couple days, how about you bring this, I bring that, and you kind of go through an itemized list together.
You divvy it up.
Yeah.
And it's always, especially if you're big game hunting, to have either a friend on standby or a friend, with you. If you harvest, I don't know, a deer, an elk, a big hog, whatever it is. A bear, a moose. You're going to need some help. You know what I'm saying? So factor that in. Maybe not everybody. And, I think we were talking about this earlier where we said, this podcast right here, it seems like it's geared for somebody that has never hunted before. They're just now getting into it. But if you're an avid hunter and you've been doing this for years, you may think that these 3 questions are just common sense and stupid. But if you sit there and you think about it and you go down that rabbit hole, you're going to be like, damn, that's right.
It's the same 3 questions you're asking, whether it's your first time or it's your 100th time,
Yeah. You do it every time you go hunting without even knowing.
We're doing it. And we've done it a lot. We're still doing it. So that's why we decided to kind of break these down. If you ask yourself these 3 questions, what gear do I need? Well, what season is it? What regulation allows me to hunt with what method? Is it bow only? Is it exactly? Yeah. So, powder, is it, I got to find out what is lawfully a method of harvesting an animal with that area.
So we both got some notes here in front of us. And this is just stuff that we sat down and we kind of thought about as we're talking about our hunts and stuff like that. So let's go through some of these notes, and then what we'll do is we'll kind of take you on a journey as we plan a hunt right here using these 3 questions and kind of show you how we use it to plan and prep our hunts.
Let's do this scenario based. I'm going to ask you a question, Jimmy. Where are you hunting this year? Scenario based.
Yeah, scenario based. So scenario based, I'm going to stay here local. I got a lot going on this season, so I'm going to stay here local, and I'm probably going to be hunting some public land that's here pretty close. Yeah.
Okay. So since we're local and we're in Texas, guys, that question right there kind of leans us towards special permits we need to hunt public.
Yep.
Which is doable.
And this public land that I plan on hunting is, you have to have a special permit.
So we got to access public land.
Yep.
You got to get the permits to do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably some additional regulations for hunting public in this specific area.
This specific area, there's a ton of them.
All right, so we're gonna make sure we know those specific regulations and stay within that, so that we're having a legal.
That's priority one. That's the first thing you do.
Yep. And ignorance is not an excuse. You have to know what laws and regulations are for any place that you hunt.
The wife may buy it, but the game warden doesn't.
So that kind of keeps you out of trouble, right?
Hopefully. That's the plan.
That's the plan. All right. So I asked you, where are you hunting?
Yeah.
That kind of narrowed it down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are you hunting?
Pigs. I'm just going to try to shoot as many pigs this year as I can.
Okay. So can you hunt pigs on this property that you're trying to hunt on?
You can.
Okay. What are the methods you can harvest pigs?
So the only methods you can use are archery, shotgun, or smooth bore.
Okay. So
Well, I say smooth, I'm sorry, black powder.
black powder. All right. So let me ask you this. What method do you prefer to do that with?
I prefer archery.
Okay. So let's talk about archery, and let's talk about what gear you need to have a successful pig hunt.
Yeah.
All right. So we know where, we know what. Now let's use that information to kind of inform the gear, right?
Yep.
All right. If you're going to hunt this public property, we know what regulations.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any particular camo, gear, clothing, do you want to prepare for that?
Yeah, and I do. And in this scenario, I said I'm going to hunt pigs. So I'm going to go back to what animal I'm hunting, right? So I want to know as much about that animal as I can, because I'm going to base my gear and things off that animal. So one, I know, knowing a pig, I know that camo is somewhat important, not a requirement, but I do have camo, so I'm going to use the camo that is required. But what they do is they smell really well. Pigs stink, but they have a great sense of smell. So I'm going to do as much descenting as I can. Another thing that I like to do is basically once mid-September hits, I don't use any fragrant deodorant, soap, beard oils, anything. It's all strictly nonsense stuff.
Toothpaste.
So yeah, just knowing that animal and all that, I'm gonna start prepping my gear based off what I know about that animal.
Seriously, though, if we're talking about it like mouthwash and all that stuff, that's a strong scent.
It is. It does. That dissipates and goes away over time. But your soaps, clones, shampoos, and all those fragrances, you might want to stay away from that. Now, I may not go that crazy with all that every year, but if I'm hunting a specific targeted deer, I will.
Well, you're getting in your zone, and you want to kind of get you want to prepare as much as you can. So why waste the trip, right? If you're going to get out there, you're going to do it, and you want to have success, you're going to plan accordingly.
So I know my gear now, based off that animal, and I said archery, I'm going to be archery hunting. So I'm going to go over my bow, and throughout the summer, I'm going to make sure strings, cables are good. I'm going to shoot every, few times a month, make sure it's still, progressing and
throwing arrows down range.
Got to sling them down range. And then I'm just going to start scouting, whether it's e-scouting or boots on the ground. But I know that I'm here in Texas for my gear. It's probably going to be hot. I'm going to carry water. I'm going to have a backpack with me. I know that I'm going to have to carry stuff, so I'm going to have a backpack, my hunting knives. I'm just going to go through that scenario of what I'll need. I know I got Ben on speed dial from him, like, Ben, I got a big pig down. I need some help. So you just use those scenarios and you go through everything that you could possibly need or think of for that hunt. And then you prioritize. If you can carry it all, great. If you can't, prioritize, what you do and don't need.
So you just broke down basically how we use these 3 questions to prepare for a hunt. And you used a great example because we didn't go into detail on specific game and all that. That was a good example, and I appreciate you using that for the sake of this podcast.
Yeah, we could go down to what footwear are you going to use. Am I going to be wearing muck boots because I'm close to a swampland?
Yeah, it all gets deep. Once you start asking yourself these questions, you based off of where am I hunting? What am I hunting?
Yeah.
And what gear do I need? What gear do I need is time related, or is it time dependent, right? Is it a season where it's raining? Is it, is that calendar day that I'm going, I'm looking at the weather and I'm looking, dang, it's going to be a swampy bitch out there. I'm going to have the gear that I
I'm going
need.
to have the gear that I need. Yeah.
I'm going to try to stay dry. I'm going to have a change of socks. I'm going to have a change of clothes. Am I packing in? Am I packing out? Am I staying overnight?
Maybe you're doing a multi-day hunt. And you're packing in for days. And at that point, you're really going to be doing a lot of prep. If you're not prepping for that, you shouldn't be going.
But can you guys see how asking these, let us know in the comments if you've narrowed it down to something else. We narrowed it down to these 3 questions because I feel like these 3 questions really kind of, they'll inform the time, the investments, and the overall like preparation you'll need for the upcoming seasons, whether it's licenses, permits, a lease payment, saving up my money for that big high fence hunt, all those things. It's the same questions. You're just using them to inform different answers. So
let's go over these 3 questions, and we'll hit some of the big questions that we've hit or that we thought of in our notes. And, maybe it'll help you guys out, or maybe you can think of more, but I think some of these would be good if we just hit some of those snowball questions, if you will, that we ran into.
Okay. You want me to start with where am I hunting?
With where? Yeah.
So where am I hunting? I already kind of covered it off. Am I hunting? Do I need to find a lease? Do I need to find, access to public land? If I'm scouting public, I need to know those boundaries. I need to know what public land is available. I'm going to go and start looking at, I'm a hunt public in Texas. I can use the Hunter's Guide, the app, and everything. And, I get a book every year that gives me, it lets me know what public land is available, whether it's WMA or, it's private property that's being leased to Texas Parks and Wildlife for public hunts. Then I'm going to use that, and I'm going to check the boundaries. I'm going to look at the location. I'm going to see how far they are from my place. I want to see how far they are from a big city. Do I want to be hunting around do I want to be hunting around Austin, Texas?
A lot of people do, in what do they call urban archery hunting?
Yeah, you get what I'm saying? So, if I'm going to go, let's say a dove hunt, I want to go and find, a public area to dove hunt. I'm going to look in the closest areas and see what's available, because dove hunting is kind of like, I got to get in, get out. You're not going to be out there all day. So I kind of want to find the closest place. I'm going to look at the places that maybe I don't hear a lot of people talking about. You know what I mean? And I'm going to try that just because I'm kind of trying to have more space, more room between me and the other hunters. Do I want to be crowded and have 16 guns in a firing line you know what I'm saying? Been there, done that.
Scary.
So I think about all those things, and these questions kind of let me, figure out figure out the answer to my where.
Yeah, so your where, I mean, whether it's in-state, out-of-state, public, private, there's a lot of detailed questions you got to ask yourself, and legalities when it comes into that. Like you mentioned, not to beat a dead horse, but the proper licensings and permits on whatever you decide, or if it's a high fence or outfitter that you go to.
Sure. So as you can see, a simple question like, where am I hunting? It's a little bit more in depth. You got to kind of do your research. And let's say I was hunting private.
And either one of those, that's going to be a driving force for your next question, though, which is going to be, what am I hunting? So the where's the driving force for the what, because, there's only certain animals in certain part of the world or the country or the state, whatever. Seasons, things like that. Yeah. So the where drives the what.
So I'll kind of leave. I think that covers the where am I hunting. You guys can go in and figure out what we're trying to say is like, that's going to inform the next question.
It's going to be very specific for everybody's going to be different.
Yeah, you could narrow it down to, I'm hunting my cousin's, 20 acre property that he gave me access to. That's going to let me narrow that in. I'm still going to do the same things I would do if I was hunting public and I've never been there. Sure. I'm still going to do the same things that I would do if I'm hunting a big, high fence, and I'm letting them do all the, I'm still going to e-scout. I'm still going to look at that area. I'm just going to look at the properties around that area. Yeah. I'm going to see what kind of terrain, are there ag fields? Are there, if I'm hunting dove and
water sources,
pinch points. Exactly. If I only have 20 acres to hunt, you might think 20 acres isn't a lot to hunt dove if he only has like a small little food plot, or, he had some natural agricultural areas for us to hunt over. And, that's a legal place for you to hunt now. you want to see what's around it, like you
Yeah.
said, is there a pond right next door? Man, that's money. Is there an ag field next door and they had just taken
Yeah.
down a cornfield? That's money. I'm going to look at that too. So where I'm hunting is super important because also where I'm hunting is going to tell me what gear I need.
Yep.
So I want to stop there. I think I've kind of narrowed that down. I want to go into what am I hunting?
I'll try to run through this pretty quick too. But once again, what am I hunting? You're going to need there's regulations and legalities that go along with that. So you have to know what you were hunting so that you got the right license and permits to do so. It's your responsibility to know if you have the right stuff. We said it before, ignorance isn't bliss. It's your fault if you get. So know that. Know the habitat and environment of the animal that you are going to hunt, once again, because it's going to help increase the success rate of your hunt. If you're, I don't know, whitetail hunting and you're in a big open hay field with nothing around, well, you're probably not going to be very good, right? You're not going to have a good hunt.
If you're zebra hunting on a high fence ranch and there's only one zebra on 5,000 acres, that's kind of good to know too.
That's kind of good to know. Like you need to know. The best way to do that's either boots on the ground scouting or e-scouting. Just know the feeding, sleeping, and behavioral patterns of whatever animals you're going to hunt. Just do your research. Next thing, know your physical ability, and that's probably one of the big. When I say that, you're like, well, how does that tie into what am I hunting? If you've never pulled out a big old sow pig, a big old buck, big old northern buck, from up north, a bear, a caribou, a elk. If you haven't tried doing that by yourself,
try to drag a buck, a big, good scoring buck through the bottom of a barbed wire fence in South Texas.
So you need a plan to retrieve your harvest is what I'm saying. If you can do it by yourself, go for it. If you can't, have a good buddy like Ben on speed dial to, come in or some other means or method. Know your skill level. When I say your skill level, not only your woodsmanship, but your shooting skill level. So you're going to hunt this animal. You need to know.
Good point.
You need to know your skill level based off the vital target of that intended animal. So if you're good out at 100 for a whitetail, but at 150 you're kind of don't take that shot. Be ethical about it. Know your limitations and capabilities as well.
That goes for any rifle, any weapon.
Yeah, any weapon,
any method of harvest. Yep.
Use technology that we have today in your advantage. We got cameras, we got satellite maps, we have, use technology to your advantage where it's legal. The only legal means, and don't be, I don't know, flying drones while you're sitting in your deer stand trying to figure out where this deer's staged up at. And I'm not saying that. Know signs and tracking of whatever the intended animal is. Know what signs they leave, whether it's, just tracks, droppings, if it's rubs, scrapes, tree rubs like pigs do, turkey dustings for turkeys, or where they've been scratching, whatever the case is, just know the animal. And then lastly, know the conservation impact of you harvesting that animal, that species in whatever particular area you're in. So if it's a low density animal and you happen to see one, it may be legal. And I'm not knocking you for trying it or for taking it if it is legal, but if they're in low numbers, low density, then it's not a good idea to take that animal. So just know those different backgrounds and those different things.
But at the end of the day, man, it's your tag. It's your hunt.
Tag.
Do what you want.
Yeah.
Just do it as ethically as you possibly can. But I mean, we're not going to sit here and bash anyone.
No,
for
not at
taking
all.
A young deer, or if it's your first time, like go out there, have fun.
Just think about the conservation behind it.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's important.
And one, just back to where am I hunting, I just wanted to add in one thing. Where you're hunting, know your backdrop of where you're going to be shooting at.
Good point. That could inform that could add to your limitations.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could say, hey, I can, here are my left and right limits. But if I'm shooting in that direction, there's a property or there's a house on the other side of that property line or whatever.
And this is a snowball conversation example is all we're saying. Because
they're really good points, though.
It could be where you can't shoot this way, where you need to be set up because of the winds are coming. You got a prominent wind this way. Or north-south, but you need to shoot that way, but you always got a south wind, but you can't move this way because of backdrops of shooting this way. So you always got to play all these scenarios out. And
Yeah, you
that's
might
just
have 15 acres that you can legally hunt on.
yeah.
And if those 15 acres don't set up for that wind, maybe I can switch and move all the way around the property, get on the other side of that 15 acres and kind of face the wind. Well, guess what? Now I'm 20 feet from a road.
Yeah, you just never know.
You know, and is that legal? You know what I mean? Or my back is against a
opening
county
morning.
road,
Opening morning is a bad time to figure that out.
Yeah,
That's why you ask these questions. So we got one more gear.
We have gear. So gear is super important because it kind of goes.
It's dependent on the other two questions.
Where am I hunting? What am I hunting? Informs what gear I need.
Yeah.
And that starts off with method of hunting, whether it's a bow, crossbow. Is that legal? Is it not legal? Do I want to use a 30-06? Do I want to use
what season
a
is
BB
it?
gun? What is legal to use? I got to use the regulations and the seasons that are tell me what is legal to use for a legal harvest that time of year.
For what you're hunting.
And then that's going to tell me how to pack, right? If it's early teal season, I want to have some steel shot, that I'm going to take out, and then I want to have maybe different sizes or whatever as far as my shot size. It's going to tell me what kind of choke to have on my shotgun. That's going to tell me what kind of plug to have in my shotgun. All that informs the gear. Am I taking decoys? Am I setting up over a spread? Do I need to think about how I can pack that so that I can haul it out?
And there's a lot of implied task in there with what we're just talking about with your gear. Like you were talking about your shotgun, and you want to make sure, what choke do you have in there? Is the plug in there? Did I go pattern it? I need to pattern it.
Do I know my shot range that I'm kind of like, this is what I'm comfortable shooting at? That way, anything past that, I'm just wasting shots.
Do my decoys need to be touched up? Does this there's all these implied tasks in there that go along with it.
Am I going to call? What kind of calls am I going to have? If I'm going to call, I probably, me personally, I'm going to make sure I've been practicing some calls.
Ben, we're making hunting sound like some work right now.
But the thing is if you don't ask yourself these questions, you just think it's as simple as throwing on a camo shirt and going out there.
What is it like when you come out with a full limit of whatever you're hunting? You come out with that target buck that you've been hunting, or that big boar, or that long beard, whatever the case is. But when you hit that target animal that you've been hunting, sometimes it comes by dumb luck. Most of the times it comes by that planning, that preparation, and the attention to details that we're talking about. When you get down in the weeds of it, it will help you.
Now, with all this said, the gear can be narrowed down. You don't have to go. We're not saying the gear, what do I need? I got to go buy this and that. The truth is we're probably the two best people to tell you about how we don't have all the fancy gear. We don't have all the fanciest, the newest, the coolest things out. There's a lot of stuff we see every day that we're like, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah,
we don't have
it. Stuff.
We kind of try to stick with what works for us.
Yep.
And we go with what's in our budget. That kind of narrows down what I have as far as gear. And then I'm going to have, we have our preferences.
That's what I was going to say. We have our preferences in not only gear, but what we like to hunt too.
And sometimes when I go down south and I'm just going to go and opportunistic hunt, and I ain't going to lie to you, man. I'm out there with starched jeans and a freaking button down freaking starched shirt. And I'm just out there like, that's what I'm going to use to sit by the fire pit. If that puts me in a blind that evening, I'm good with it.
But that's when you're.
But I know I'm not spotting stalking. I'm not trying to, I might be able to fool their eyes, but I'll never fool their nose.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So if I'm sitting still in the woods and I somehow silhouetted myself, they're gone. Yeah. If I sat there and I'm, downwind and I winded that animal, they're gone.
So.
It just needs to be, you just need to do a little prepared and see how you're going to hunt. If I'm sitting up in an 18-foot tower, brother, and I'm 600 yards away, what does it matter what I'm wearing?
But see, so that when you've hunted South Texas a lot. So if I said, hey, Ben, we're heading to Iowa for a deer hunt in October. What are you doing then?
Dude, I'm looking at seeing how that's being done.
Yeah.
I'm starting to look at, I might join some groups in that area. See how I want to talk to a few people. Hey, I've never hunted that area. What's the norm, or what kind of tips do you guys have? first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scout the area we want to hunt. I'm gonna look at that area. I'm gonna look at the surrounding areas. Again, I'm gonna look for the X, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna look at the top topography of that area. I'm gonna look for the transitions. I'm gonna look for water. I'm gonna look for all those things you were talking about earlier, because that's gonna inform how I want to start kind of sectioning off areas to think about, because I might get down there and, just like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan till they get punched in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I might get down there, get punched in the mouth by, okay, that area is taken. I need to go this way. Okay, that area is taken. Well, guess what? The wind's coming this way. I have to go, and I have to go all the way around. There's so many different things that I have to think about. But most importantly, that where is going to at least get me within the legal parameters of where I need to be, because I'm going to do my research. What is required? How much does it cost to,
That budget is going to,
one, how much does it cost to hunt there as a non-resident? And two, how much does it cost to harvest? We're not talking about the same thing.
And there may be, they may be a lottery state. I don't remember if they have any OTC tags or not. I don't remember. But another thing too, like out east, if say, we both got friends in Pennsylvania, and say they invited us up for a deer hunt. And they say, hey man, come up for this deer hunt. On our way, man, we're coming up there. What are you going to grab to go up there and deer hunt? What weapon you taking?
Pennsylvania?
Yep.
Being honest?
Yep.
You're going to laugh.
Okay.
Crossbow.
Okay, well, you're going to take, good thing you didn't say rifle, because you can't use a rifle.
Take my crossbow. Why am I taking crossbow, guys? Let's talk about it. Let's get it out on the table. Pinche Ben hunts with the crossbow. Pussy. Guys, I got no bicep here.
Go to the gym, fool.
That thing is separated. As you can see, I can't even flex. It hurts. This bicep's in my shoulder. I don't have a right bicep. That arm.
I don't have a left fingertip.
That shit hurt. Trying to flex. That arm's done. I'm left-handed. Well, I shoot left-handed. I'm left eye dominant. I'm gonna use that to steady. Yeah. This is my weak arm. You know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't work for me. I can hunt legally with a crossbow. I'm gonna use it.
But you see how you're taking that in account, right? So
this is my excuse. But if it's legal, whether I was hurt or not, I'm gonna. Why not use it? It's another way to harvest.
Right. But what I'm saying is you're recognizing your physical capabilities.
That is definitely a serious physical limitation for me. It's a handicap.
Yeah.
It hurts. Like I mean, I have to know what I'm capable of doing with that arm.
The point that I was going to drive, though, I guess I did, because you said crossbow. I thought you were going to be like, I'm taking my trusty ass 30-06. And I was like,
no,
you hit me with the crossbow. And I was like, well, there went that. But I was just going to use that as a point to drive. You need to do the research of where you're going to hunt, because what you're used to may not be legal in that state or area, whether it's a county or state.
Yeah. Those are, you got to know that. And then also, just because I'm taking my crossbow, I might not be taking a shot past 25 yards.
Yeah, who knows?
You know what I mean? I might say, hey, I'm good at, 40, and anything past that, it's outside my range. Been there, done that in Missouri.
More than once.
Staring at freaking deer, kind of looking at me eating sunflower seeds like.
The biggest free-range deer that I've ever seen on hoof, I took a shot at it with about 32 yards.
Good range.
I'm not the best archer ever, but
32 yards. You're
32
good.
yards.
You're on the money.
I'm shooting golf balls or quarters, right? No. Biggest deer on the hoof I ever seen. Free range deer, right over him, dude. Like right over him.
What happened?
It was in Kansas. It was a super windy day. I was sitting down below a hill. I knew this deer, super pattern. Been hunting that specific deer, and I got up on him, and I was on the ground in some cedar trees, and he come down. I watched him come out over this big knoll, and he got exactly picture perfect.
Where I imagined
everything came to plan as perfectly as could imagined, and he stopped broadside, quartered away, just barely quartered away, and I pulled
Gave
up,
you the shot.
Gave me the shot, and I'm standing on the ground. I'm literally standing. It couldn't have been any better, and I was in some cedar trees, but none of that was a factor. I shot, and I just watched my arrow go right over him, and that deer looked at me like he looked straight at me and was like,
let me ask you this.
Took off.
How many times before you took that shot did you stand up and posture to?
Yeah.
Like, how many times did you imagine this shot right here?
So quite a few times, because this area, I knew that deer was bedding at the bottom,
Yeah.
like halfway down this little knoll or whatever. And I set up in those cedar trees for that reason. So I would go in midday when he wasn't around, and I clipped all those trees perfectly to where my body, my bow, everything. I mean, I set the scenario for the deer, and he came in and played it perfectly. I screwed it up.
So that's what I was picturing is like, you must have done, you know, the whole, like, you know, how many times did you sit there and be like, I'm ready.
I
this
probably
this is my shot, you know, boom, boom, and boom, you know.
Every time that I went to that tree to hunt it, and I would only hunt it on specific days for if the, you know, the weather conditions were perfect. That's the only time I would go in there. But yeah, you're right. Every time I would sit up in that tree, I'm checking everything and I'm trimming little, you know,
Yeah. It just works that way, man. That's
does.
hunting.
You can prepare all you want, and sometimes it's not going to go as you think it will.
But I can tell you this. You can, if you fail to plan, you might as well plan to fail.
Yes.
We're going to sum it up with that, guys.
Say it again.
Right, oh, man, I'm cooking,
No,
dude.
you
I'm
cooking, dude.
cooking, bro.
Let's hear that
if
again.
you fail to plan, you might as well plan to fail.
We'll leave it with that.
We'll leave it with that. Guys, ask yourself those basic 3 questions. Go back to the video, write down the notes, because I know we got really in deep. It's 3 simple questions, guys. Ask yourself those.
Hope you guys test.
We hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, man. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace.